Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Matei and you are watching yet another edition of Connect Opportunities, the events in which we try to explore the opportunities in the current market and also to interact with startups that are changing the reality of tomorrow basically. At this edition we partner up with Microsoft for Startups for another conversation with some of the startups that are part of their programs. And for today, I would like you to meet our guests. It's Daniel Rusen. He's marketing and operations director for Microsoft Romania.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward for a great conversation.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Dan Marculescu, he's the co-founder of Footprints for Retail. Dan, welcome.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Nicolae from Innoship. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for the invitation.
I want to remind to the ones that are looking online at the event that you can use the comment functionality to ask us questions, and thanks to a mobile phone we'll be able to catch your questions and address them to our guests. And for the ones that are usually watching our events and are used to the Romanian language, this time around, because we are having an international audience, we decided to use the English language. So please, preferably use the English language for your questions as well. Otherwise, we'll be able also to translate them if you are more comfortably that way. Please, if you have friends that are interested in this field, don't hesitate to use the share functionality, so all your friends can find out about this event, and there will be even more interaction. Until then, without further ado, I would like to introduce again Daniel Rusen and to have a short conversation about the current state of digitalization in retail.
Yes, thank you. I think this is a great topic. When we are looking and analyzing global trends, when we are analyzing economies around the world, retail is a major indication. And this is due to the fact that 31% of the global GDP comes from retail. So it's a huge chunk of the global GDP, and when we analyze the health of the economy, we are looking to retail. So retail is an important topic. But not only as a trend in terms of economic growth, it's also about digitalization. We are living in a digital world. Everything that we do is linked with digital. From the moment when we are waking up until the moment we are going to bed, our lives are directly linked with digital applications, digital environment, devices, and so on. And this is also valid in retail. And when we assess the maturity of a market, we are looking also to retail to understand exactly how they went through the digital transformation, how they have used the technology. And one important thing that we see now is that 40 terabytes of data are generated. I have a new mic. Hopefully now you can hear me, and I haven't just spoken without sound. So coming back to what I have said related with digitalization in retail, we have seen now that 40 terabytes of data are generated each hour in retail. This is a huge amount of data, but it's not just ordinary data. This is the data that showed us how the economy is going. We have is showing us what the consumer behavior it is, what is their behavior composure, what they are buying, what they are looking for. So this data is really important for the entire economy, not only for digitalization. Second question that we ask related with the data, it's how retailers are going to use this data, because this is their data. So they have generated this data, they are owner of this data, what they are using with the data. And we understood that there are four important trends, four important aspects that each retailer needs to understand and use in order to capture the insights and capture the benefits of this data that they are generating. and they are owning. First, which is really important, know your customers, which is basic, know your customer. But know your customer better than they know themselves. Using the analytics environment, using analytics, using artificial intelligence, analyze the data that you have and understand the customer behavior, what they want to purchase before they will even think about purchasing that particular item. So this is really important to know the customer behavior. And there are two, like a parenthesis, there are two important trends in this aspect, in this knowing the customer. The first one is that customer usually prefer personalized offerings, which is basic, yeah? All of us prefer to be addressed in a personalized way. Yeah, we want to walk into a retail store and somebody will greet us and said that we have something specifically built for us. And this is easy to say, but difficult to build. But knowing the data, analyzing the data, you can build this type of personalized offerings. And I want to give you an example even from Romania. So I think most of you knows the pharmacy chain SensiBlue. Mm-hmm. Yes, they have 7 million customers that they have these cards, loyalty cards. And SensiBlue want to address the needs of those 7 million customers in a personalized way. In order to analyze in real time the data for 7 million customers that have multiple touch points, that have multiple triggers, multiple interactions, you need to create vast amount of computing power. Using cloud, it's not so difficult anymore. So they went in this direction. They are using Microsoft Cloud in order to do real-time analytics on 7 million customers, doing micro-segments in real time for those 7 million customers. And now they are building digital campaigns to address those micro-segments. So in order not to just launch a digital campaign that is targeting 7 million people that are vastly different, you are targeting just 1,000 that have similar behaviors. So this is just an example of a personalization. The second point in knowing the customers is recommendations. So we saw that 30% of the expenses done in retail are due to recommendations. So not just you thought of buying something, that site or that particular retailer, it's offering you a recommendation based on your past customer experiences that they have with you. So it's a huge amount. It's to think about. 30% you can build your revenue. You can scale your revenue with 30% just doing that analysis and making recommendation for particular products for your customers. So from my point of view, it's also an important trend to reconsider when thinking about knowing your customer. And this is coming also from us. We saw, for example, from our Xbox store. I don't know how many they are still using consoles, but there are a lot of people and a growing number worldwide of people that they use consoles for recreation, playing games, socializing with their friends and so on. Within our Xbox engine, we have built this recommendation engine, and based on the games that you have played, based on the application that you have used, you are seeing recommendation of the similar types of games that you have available in the store or you have available in your subscription, and you might enjoy playing. And it's not just Microsoft with Xbox, you see this in Netflix and so on. So a lot of digital engines have adopted this recommendation engine. And I believe in retail, this is something that you can scale very easily, again, knowing the customer. So this is number one, knowing the customer better than they know themselves. The second important thing for retail is to empower their employees. And this might seem basic, how to empower the employees. Retailers worldwide are one of the largest employers. In Romania, the same. I believe the retail chains are having the most employees out of the many industries that are activating in Romania. And a lot of people, they are starting their careers in retail. So myself, I remember when I was a student, my first job was a sales in selling FMCG products. So this is shaping the career for people for years to come. And you need to pay attention on the behavior that those employees have, because they can be a great asset for you to build that customer experience. It's not only about the price, it's not only about the environment, it's also how that employee is treating customers. Equipping that employee with digital tools to understand better the customer, to increase their productivity, you will have an increase in customer experience for every customer that is working in your store or visiting your site and so on. So this part of empower your employees also really important, number 2. Number 3, it's intelligent supply chain. We saw that 85% of the customers in a study, they expect for their goods to be delivered within 2 days. So this is the expectation, myself included. So I have just subscribed to let's say an upsell product from IMAG in Romania, just to give you an example, only to have the second day delivery. So we see that we are impatient in receiving the goods that we want, and we expect that the particular retailer to provide us with the goods in not more than 2 days. Even in a brick and mortar store, if something is not on stock, I expect to bring them not later than 2 days. Only 15% of us, as a customers, we have this, let's say, loyalty to wait more than 2 days for a particular product to be delivered. And this is mainly due to the fact that maybe we didn't find it in another retail chain. And that's why we wait for more time. But usually, if we do not receive a product within 2 days, we buy from another store. So coming back to this behavior, retailers need to have a 360 view of their inventory. What are the products that are flying off the shelves rapidly? How they interact with the supply chain in order to constantly resupply the demand, constantly add value in order for to meet the customer expectation, or even to overcome it. And one example here, because for always we have examples for all these topics, it's Walgreens from United States. They are operating 800 stores in the United States. They have 7 million customers daily, and they have 200 million inventory in overall in the chain. But not each store is the same with the other, because customer behavior from one region to another is different. So they need to run this analysis per each store, per each inventory item, and per each customer behavior that they have in a particular region, in order for any customer that is going in a store to find exactly the item that they expect to find it in a store, like Walgreens. And you buy here goods, medicine goods, or goods for your own, let's say, health and sanity. So this intelligent store system is really important for any retail to consider and to have. And final point that I want to make in terms of digitalization in retail, it's how to improve the overall retail experience and think about new retail experiences. In the past, we used to have, a brick and mortar store that has only brick and mortar, or an online store that has only online. Now it's not the case anymore. All they are thinking about omni-channel, to expand this storefront to many different instances, to online, to Facebook, to Instagram, to a lot of new types of ideas. 75% of the items that are bought in a brick and mortar retail store, that journey is beginning online. So you do the research online. If that store has an online store as well, a brick and mortar store has an online presence as well, they might keep the customer through the entire journey. So they are not moving from one retailer to another. So important thing to know about that, and important thing to consider, because they want to keep it. Also look at banks, for example. Banks are retailers after all. So if they kept only their physical presence, maybe in these days they wouldn't recruit as many customers as they do. So open a digital presence, having customer onboarding, digital customer onboarding. They are helping expand their retail experience to wherever the customer is. So it's really important to have all those opportunities available for you, and think about expanding the opportunity that you might have now to another type of opportunity. So this is the fourth item of digitalization. Now, coming back, the question is now how I can enable this intelligent store, the intelligent retail system, how I can think about those four let's say, trends that we see in the industry. We have always talked about the environment that we are living in, a tech intensity environment. And I believe any retailer needs to understand what is tech intensity and how they can take advantage of this tech intensity world. So from our point of view, we define tech intensity as a formula, a very simple one. The first one, use the latest and the greatest technology. So everyone, no matter the industry, but especially in the retail, when you have this vast amount of data, they need to use the latest and the greatest technology that's available. They do not need to reinvent the wheel, but they need to understand what is available for them and how they can capture that intelligence, capture that innovation that is already in the market. But this is not enough. They need to build their own experiences. They need to build their own technology. And here we have fortunate enough to have startups that they are doing this for retail. So this is really important. And in order to do that, they can work with a startup, yes, and this is a valid option, but also they need to build their own muscle. They need to build their own digital competencies within the company. So this digital skilling, digital competencies is really important for the future in order for every employee to be prepared to have these digital skills. And of course, you need to do it in an environment of trust. So first of all, use the latest and greatest technology, but also create your own technology by building your digital muscle, digital skills, digital competencies. And now referring at Microsoft, because we are in this, let's say, in this industry, and we embrace the mission that we have. And our mission is to help any organization and every people to achieve more. And this is the same that we are doing with retailers. So we are not competing with them. We are not offering, solution just to buy off the shelf, but we are offering them a platform in which they can build this intelligent retail. They can have the availability to use the latest and the greatest technology available in the market, and in the same time we are helping them to build their own technology. And in the examples that I gave you, SensiBlue, Walgreen, Walmart, Emag, and so on, they have built their own technology using cloud platform and using the innovation that we are providing for them. We saw that 91 out of 100 retailers, they are using cloud in order to build this type of technologies, in order to integrate those technologies within their ambitions and to differentiate themselves versus the competition. It's a very competitive market. So my final point is that we are here to help, we are here to support any retailers. We are here together with great partners like the startups that we are in this panel and many more through the programs that is sitting right behind me, Microsoft for Startups, that will create this type of innovation for the future of retail. I think the best is yet to come.
For sure. Thank you very much, Daniel. I think one of the things that even drove us closer to Microsoft and to do this series of events was the fact that a large tech corporation is helping startups bring solutions to the market. So it's not just, I will support you by just saying, I will give you, for example, Azure cloud credit, but it's rather in the direction in which you are building businesses together and you are helping the startups get to market faster or grow faster, but in the same time offering new opportunities to your already existing clients, which is again something that for Microsoft it's something that that brings value as well. Building on something that you said about data, I would like to go to Dan now, because you are leaving footprints everywhere you go. But this time around it's about footprints for retail. Tell us a little bit more about you and your startup.
Well, yeah, indeed. Footprints is a startup, it's a Romanian startup, and we are enrolled in Microsoft for Startups as well. So Footprints' mission is to collect behavioral data from basically physical retail, so brick and mortar or retail properties, and translate this data into predictions and allow retailers to influence those predictions by targeting shoppers across multiple marketing channels, advertising channels. So what we do, we use the indoor infrastructure that the retailer might have, video cameras, Wi-Fi, etc., in an anonymous way, to create behavioral segments, to micro-segment those profiles, shopper profiles, even further, and then do predictions around and recommendations around what will be the next visit, what kind of items or shops they will visit, and then fuse these predictions and micro segments with online advertising like Facebook ads or Google ads, etc.
Bing ads.
So yeah, Bing ads as well. So it's quite a challenging mission we have. It's something very new. We face a lot of new problems when it comes to big data and AI. We have our own AI, so data science, which makes it even more challenging. And indeed, as you mentioned, Asia, it's a tremendous help for that because it just gives you acceleration. You don't need to actually tick off all the boxes. So there are some boxes already ticked off for us, especially when it comes to GDPR compliance, which is a very big hat to wear these days.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan. Daniel, referring to one of the other trends, the other Daniel was mentioning, the fact that we expect our shopping to be delivered basically the moment we push the buy button. We are like listening to the door. Is the courier here? Yeah. Tell us more about Innoship.
Yeah, so we represent one of the 4 main elements which are the retailers looking for. It's the supply chain. So Innoship is coming with a technology which is helping the retailers to improve the last mile delivery, increase the quality of shipping, keep the cost under control, because the last mile represents 40% of the cost of the retailers, mainly for the fashions, for example, and to increase the interaction with the customers and to increase the quality of the interaction. Innoship represents, in fact, 3 main pillars. The first pillar, it's an API aggregator for the last mile. Something which we didn't think about it mainly a few years ago, or now when we talk about revolution in supply chain with this COVID-19. So more than that, we are looking to supply chain, and we understand the need of good delivery service to the customer. So in banking, we were most of the time common understanding about PayU, for example, which represent a connector for API with banks. Now Innoship is the connector for API with carriers. For all the services through only one API, you can, as a retailer, access any carrier into the local market or international just by one click. On top of that is coming with optimization. So optimization in terms of how you can decide for each order who is the best carrier to do the delivery based on your existing contracts you have. We are not a reseller for shipping services. The second pillar is related to the analytics. How we can create the whole visibility, the end-to-end visibility of a retailer about the last mile, something which was most of the time used with one supplier or maybe 2. Today, they need to offer something which is a very quick delivery, like let's do it with Glovo or Uber, or when we talk about national deliveries, who is the best carrier to do the delivery in time in this specific region. So creating visibility on that and creating visibility on how to improve the quality of service and how much you need to pay for it, because sometimes you don't need, you just need to understand that for 5% more on terms of quality, you just need to pay 200 more euro at the end of the month. It's just a peanuts, but you just need to know that, and our algorithms can help you to understand and create visibility at weekly level, monthly level, and so on. And the third pillar is related to the customer experience, which doesn't mean we need to look at to the end consumer, as you just mentioned before, and to understand how we should communicate with you. Still, email communication or SMS is the right communication channel, or maybe we should look at to Romania, where WhatsApp represents most of the traffic to the chat. If you look at to Bulgaria, it's Viber. If you look at to Greece, it's Viber. So we are looking to the technologies and the communication channels preferred into the local markets, into the regions, and afterwards communicate to the customer through the most advanced, the new technologies, the preferred technology of the consumer in a dynamic, easy to understand, two ways of communication in order to totally improve the experience. So Innoship is part of the supply chain revolution in this moment.
Thank you very much. Continuing on what you said and the innovations you bring in the market, how do you perceive your clients are using your technology? Because that's one conversation that usually happens, because the product developer or the business owner thinks the solution in a certain way, and then it gets to the client, and the client says, oh, I would like to use it like this. So how they are using, what's the type of innovation that brings them the more value in this collaboration with you?
It depends on the moment they are. For example, in this moment in time, they are looking to the optimization. First, they need to improve the cost. That's the first thing they buy from us. So, and they understand that just from the moment when they implement Innoship, they can benefit from the cost reduction up to 25% of their total last mile cost, which is millions for most of the retailers in this moment. So that's the first thing they think about it, buy it. Afterwards, when they realize what does it mean for me to deliver at the minimum cost, where I'm affecting the experience with the customer, having visibility on that, they are already relaxed a little bit to pay more for a better quality of service. Encourage to ask new suppliers to come and to help. Easy to do that. They don't need to invest anything in IT. They just push a button, activate a new carrier, put the credential, and that's it. So it's in waves. It's now starting with the cost. Afterwards, starting with the increase of quality, and at the last point with preferences, new delivery options, better communication with the customer. So it's good to have something which is critical for retailers and to start with what they really believe that that's important today, and we are starting with the cost reduction in this moment.
Thank you very much. Done kind of in the same way, from your current experience, what's an use case for your product for footprints?
At the moment, the most popular use case I have is basically, the idea of single point of truth for what's happening inside shopping centers like malls, hypermarkets, etc., etc. Usually, my clients are real estate investment trusts, which means they own multiple business locations across multiple geographies, and they most of them they have a shared services center, and basically the need is to integrate, orchestrate, and understand what's happening in those tens of business locations they have. So basically, it's understand and generate insights at the moment. Now, what's trending, and we are already prepared for that, is the idea of automating and orchestrating all their marketing processes. Internalizing the marketing processes by automation and orchestration. So basically, by cutting costs and making it more efficient, it gave us an opportunity to move their budgets, their marketing budgets, from traditional marketing and advertising agencies to a platform that can do that in a frictionless way. So that's the second one, and this is what we see as, and the clients that we have, as the major benefit. In terms of AI, that's still something that just a very small minority they look into it, but we're pushing it. We deliver the AI services as managed product, which means that we have our own people, our own service, to make sure that they start and they continue using predictions, not just descriptive analytics of what happened in the past.
Thank you. Switching back to Daniel, because a lot has happened in the past 6 months, and the online, the e-commerce grew a lot, and there was a major adoption, and Daniel was mentioning as well the fact that a lot of us went to online, from banking to shipments to current shopping. How this influenced your adoption rate? Did companies came to you and said, we need to do something because this Excel with deliveries is killing me?
Yeah, indeed, we started our company by thinking about e-commerce grow. So from the scratch, when we started the company last year and starting to build the product, we were thinking about e-commerce. Now e-commerce is booming, so has been accelerated a lot. Indeed, we had many of customers coming to us, which was a little bit like a surprise. We supposed to sell our products, they comes to us. We did something because they hear about us, so still something happens. But nevertheless, yes, it was an acceleration growth for us. That's why we just closed a financing round with one of the leading investor in Romania, in order to help the company to grow, to help the company to sustain the growth rate, to increase the team, because for sure we need to increase our capability on the technical team, to come with marketing and sales resources, and to help different type of retailers. Which was a surprise. It was to see some, brick and mortar or some retailers for food chains, which were supposed to do something in terms of e-commerce, in terms of deliveries to the home, to the customer home, but has been accelerated a lot. Still, we are working on building on that. So the speed of such companies are not like usually for a fashion company, but it's something good to have that they have been accelerated and help us as a company to accelerate our business a lot, internationally as well.
Thank you. On that note, Dan, most of the shopping centers, not just in Romania, but in whole Europe and mostly the whole world, were closed for a period of time this spring. The reopening saw them more open to digital solutions, saw them more open to implement new solutions that would help them serve their customers better, because they started not with the same amount of customers that they used to have. What's the trend? What are you feeling from their side?
That's a very good question. We are also asking ourselves that every day. So basically what we are seeing, and again, it matters, and we don't know yet if it's a symptom or is the data, is the information. First of all, we see more attention and more interest around prediction and profiling of shoppers. So basically, every shopper matters now, while before we are seeing that footfall counters were the norm and the basic need. Nobody was just asking themselves what they could do. 30,000 people were going through a door. It didn't matter if there was a child, adult, a spender, or an employee. There were just 30,000. Now, and that was the number that was, in their BI, reporting towards the board, the benchmark of the investors, for the investors, and obviously what the advertisers and the tenants were buying, those 30,000 daily visits. And they were calling them visitors. But actually, they were visits. Now, we see that shifting. We see actually all the retail properties that we work with, or we started doing POCs in an accelerated way, or proof of values in an accelerated way, the shift. And obviously that's a bias, right? Because it's our perspective, and our narrative. But again, more and more, and these big players are coming on board, right? Those players that own 20, 50 shopping centers or hypermarkets. which is saying something. There is a new perspective. So that's one thing. Secondly, we hear a lot lately the fact that a steering committee or the board or the investors, they all ask or give directions around data. So the objectives for someone like an asset manager, right, the guy that is managing the monetization of a retail property or the retail operations. Usually it was about euro or dollar per square meter, right? And collection, collecting the money in due time. The longer the contracts, the better. Now they have a new objective in their agenda, understanding how they should collect in a compliance way and how they should monetize the data around the shoppers. Why? Because this is the economic model that e-commerce has, and this is the booming advertising economy for online advertising, right? The booming economy of online advertising. So obviously, as investors, they look at other, right, market with their own capitalization, and they understand that there is something, new that they need to do, which is a new norm in terms of shopper behavior, but also investor kind of expectations, which is again great for us. And also the third one is where, going back to the first principle, each shopper matters for the entire operational team. When, before COVID, there was, if there was a fluctuation of tens of thousands, right, it didn't actually matter, right? Now everything that changes raises a question to us of what really happened that increased or decreased the traffic in our shopping center, in that one or the other one, which tells us that it's more of a strategic perspective rather than a very tactical operational that was before. So that's what we see.
Thank you very much. Daniel, I just realized, based on the conversation on data, that by the time you grow a lot, you will own a lot of data about deliveries. And it's not just the final client or the e-commerce or the classical retailer that's interested in those data. Do delivery companies approach you to try and have conversations with you about how they can optimize based on the data that you are having?
Yeah, this is something which we face from time to time with delivery companies. In our scope is to open the platform for them as well, to have the possibility to compare himself with the market, in different regions and different for different type of services, to be like a GfK of curious markets. There is no such data, there is no such platform, or there is no place where you can see information related to the delivery. So we are managing around 20,000 delivery per day just in 7 months from our commercial launch. So we have a huge data already managed every day through our platform. It's important for the retailers because each retailer now is looking to the performance of the carriers, not only on his own volumes, is looking to the whole platform volume. Let's think about a big retailer which has 5,000 delivery per day, which is huge. We have just few in the region. They can measure the performance of the carrier. They can take the decision based on 20 today, 20,000. In 1 year from now on, they can take it. They can take the decision based on at least 100,000 deliveries every day. So they have the unique opportunity to measure and to decide based on a huge database. More than that, think about small retailers which has 10, 20 deliveries per day, something which is amazing. So he can take into account such huge volume. For carriers, this is creating somehow the window for something which they didn't had the chance to look at it. As soon we play the right game as a middleman, calculating right the quality, calculating and playing the role of win-win for retailer, but for carriers as well, because in the flow we are checking some data, we correct a little the data, we complete the zip code for something which is not completed by the customers in the websites, but afterwards few of the carriers need the zip code in order to deliver. So we look at to the addresses it is written by the end customer, and afterwards translate it and use all our technology in order to complete the zip code and to be able to qualify all the providers, all the carriers for one delivery. So indeed we are opening the platform for retailers. The retailers are our customers, they are paying for this. The carriers soon will be able to have a data for analyzing their operations versus the competition in different type of services, different regions, and they will enjoy having this data from Innoship soon. Yeah.
I understand very well this situation, because a few years back we were having another impact hub in another location, in another city, I mean, and there were a lot of documents going back and forth. And at the beginning we chose the same provider that we had in Bucharest, the same delivery company, based on the quality of services and experience that we had in Bucharest. But in that region, they had an issue with their local implementer, to say so, and they were the worst company in that region. And basically, one in two envelopes were reaching the destination, not on time, reaching it. And having the opportunity to understand this type of information, because after we got hold of this information, we found out from other businesses that they were facing the same situation, but nobody was talking about it because it was a non-subject, but rather than the people that were affected. So we could have used Innoship at that moment. Both of you are solutions that can be used globally, basically. What are your plans for international expansion, and also do you have any competitors, maybe not having the same solution, but like close competitors in terms of having similar solutions to the problems that your prospective clients are facing? Dan?
The go-to-market plan is already activated since the beginning of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So basically we have 8 key markets. These 8 key markets represent those markets where physical retail and physical retailers were just at the right level where they start needing the data to go and adapt to a new reality. So that's one aspect. The second aspect regarding the competition, right? We have close competitors, and again. Underlying the fact that we are a Romanian startup that had the chance to be accelerated by Microsoft. Now the key differentiator that we have is that we have less money and more guys into data science, which meant that we are that kind of solution that doesn't change anything in the way you work, your infrastructure. So basically we are the Dacia to the Rolls Royce. So all the other close competitors, they kind of have what we have, but you either need to install a huge infrastructure in place, which is not very easy, especially during these moments, or you basically need to adapt very well your own data-related procedures, data operations to that specific model. So we are quite lucky from that perspective. So yeah.
Great. Actually, making a joke about Dacia, there was someone who won a pitching competition a few years back, basically by starting his pitch that their product is for that industry, what was Dacia for the Romanian country actually, and everyone was like, oh my god, 500 people in the room. So basically at that moment everyone knew, okay, he's gonna win. He conquered us all.
Makes sense.
Daniel,
Yeah.
what about your competitors and international expansion?
We have 7 months from the commercial launch, so we reach to have an accelerated growth. We have already our platform operating in other country, in Hungary. We are close to our retailers and expanding the operations out of Romania already in 7 countries up to France in this moment. So still soon will be in UK hopefully. But when you talk about international customers, we have 2 which are coming, one from UK selling products in this region, Central and Eastern Europe, and from Poland, and still looking to Poland as a big market. Thanks to our partners, we have a lot of companies, e-commerce retailers, which are selling products, services to Romania, and they are doing huge volumes here. So they are interested for such services, and afterwards they are interested to extend the service to their regions. Our scope is to be, by end of next year, the leading player in Central and Eastern Europe. When you talk about competition, we have as well closer competition, which I do believe it's good to have competition. It's always challenging ourselves to be better, to be prepared for the better for the customers. I do believe that our team, as a startup, we need to have something which is different. And what's now different for sure is how our team is built. So we are 4 co-founders. 2 of the co-founders are coming from the courier industry. I'm coming from retailer industry, and the technical guy is coming from Penny, Mega Image, which are the international brands in retail here. So we do believe that we have a better understanding and the know-how how to understand the operations, and afterward how to explain to the retailers to put the technology works for them. So in this way we have the advantages to go further and to have the right understanding about our ambitions to be a player in the Central and Eastern Europe by end of next year.
Thank you very much. Let me take a moment just to remind the people that are watching that you can use the comment functionality on both Facebook and YouTube if you want to address any questions to our guests today. Coming back to you, you are both part of Microsoft for Startups. You are both part of this partnership. How is this working for you? What's in it for you? Why are you there?
We have been starting from the beginning. I remember the first discussion with our CTO, what technology we'll use, and he was so convinced that it will be Microsoft. So we didn't, our business side of the company didn't understand well in that time why he's so convinced on that. So afterwards we understood why, because we really were in a better position to accelerate the development of our product, to use new technologies from Microsoft to enable the platform to be better, to be easy to be used, to come with technologies in order to predict better the qualities, to predict better the analysis, and so on. So we have been assisted in many interactions with experts from Microsoft to help us to explain the new technologies, how the technologies can be used in our platforms in order to easy go forward and, I don't know, sometimes maybe cheaper for going forward to our plans. So it was a great opportunity for us and a great plan to be already starting the platform on Microsoft, Azure as well, technologies related to Azure, help us a lot to build in short time the product. And now we just closed few conversations with the experts from Microsoft. We look at embedded BI and this type of tools which can easily be put on top of what we have built until now and easy help us for the rest of our ambitions. So we are more than happy with the collaboration with Microsoft.
Thank you very much. Dan, how is going for you?
It's going great. We're actually migrating from one of the competitors. It's the kind of before and after, and also it's the same kind of experience with before and after with Microsoft for Startups, because I have a previous experience with Microsoft for Startups, and that was just a failure. which makes it more attractive because that's the startup kind of mentality. Now we are just excited, thrilled, impressed of the hands-on kind of resourcing and access to information, etc., etc. No, it's great. We are quite lucky. We are one of those that hit a jackpot when it comes to the help, the support, and the financial kind of credits that we get from Microsoft when it comes to Asia. And it's a lot easier for our, talking about the product and the technical, for our technical team behind to basically short the discovery kind of cost, shortcut the discovery cost and go straight into the solution and building it. When it comes to big data, that's a matter of either a few weeks or a few months, and you don't want to play with that kind of numbers. So we see a major change in the program, but also in the technology. So happiest.
Daniel, I will get back to you as well because you seem to have two happy partners. How happy are you?
Very happy.
In general, in working with startups, and how open are, for example, your partners, your collaborators, your business partners, to say, hey, yeah, I want to try something new that it is recommended by Microsoft, but is not a Microsoft product or service?
Yeah, I will start with the first one because listening both of you, and congratulations for your businesses and success, made me really, really happy. I'm working for Microsoft 8-9 years already, and the greatest joy and the greatest energy that something it's able to give you is this kind of feedback, and not for a particular individual, but for the products and services that we are delivering in the market. Many people, when they look towards a big corporation like Microsoft, they think that the vision is something that is related to marketing, that it's just words there, but it's actually extremely true from Microsoft, because our energy, our aim is to make these kind of businesses successful, to achieve more, to be really successful in the market and to fuel innovation. And this is what those types of companies are doing. They are fueling innovation. They are helping people all over the world. Now we are discussing about retail and about supply chain and delivery and so on. But this is valid in any industry.
Yeah.
Innovation is fueling the progress. It's fueling people to have better lives, and it's fueling us to be more achieved. So I'm really happy, and again, congratulations for your businesses. Not only that you are using Microsoft services, but I'm really happy about the innovation that you are bringing to the market. And I'm really, pleased that also our Romanian companies, because at the end of the day, we are working on this market. Now, coming to the second point related with partners, Microsoft has become more and more as a platform company. So we are not selling just products, services anymore. Of course, we have our own set of products and services like Microsoft 365 or Dynamics 365, which are the solution as a service. But even in that particular area, we are encouraging partners and startups to build on top of them. Because the true value that we can bring to the customer, it's about also personalization. And you are bringing that personalization. You are bringing that experience for every individual, to better understand the business and better understand the value of that particular business. So we as Microsoft, we are really going into this direction full speed. And not only that, we are just saying to go in that direction, you are incentivizing people to sell this kind of solutions. We have a program that is already in the 4th year in which we pay our sales representative to sell those types of solutions that are listed in the catalog. We need to think about what customer wants, and if the customer wants this kind of solution, we need to empower our salespeople to be able to provide it. First of all, to understand it, and then once understood, to better address the customer need with that solution. and we are paying our people to do that. If they are not selling our solution and they are selling your product, at the end of the day, I don't care, you know, because one, we have a happy customer, and then you have two very happy partners that are able to build and to use our technology in order to even further develop. So from this point of view, I think we have a new mentality for a couple of years already, that it's paying a lot of value for us, for them, and at the end for the customer. Firstly, for the customer, for the end customer.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Let me remind you, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to use the comment functionality, because basically this would be the time. I mean, yeah, I know I'll ask at the end. Well, we're getting closer to that end, so feel free to ask your questions for any of our guests. Until then, I have a lot of questions remaining. Looking to the future, and that's something that I think this year taught us to look short term rather than long term. What are your next plans, Daniel?
Yeah,
starting with you.
we'll continue to invest in our product. We'll continue to invest in the relationship and the plans we have been committed to our customers. Happy to see the customers that count on us to extend their operations internationally. So we need to start already, and we have been started to implement local carriers in different countries in order to make the life easy for the retailers to extend operations. We saw many of our retailers which were already accelerated their plans to sell their products international. Better prepare the whole ecosystem on that, and we are a key element of their plans. So we need to be focused on that. We need to consolidate our team to prepare better the product and to sustain our partners and our clients, because most of the time we call them partners, for the international plans they have. In the same time, we are looking to, as a surprise, mainly shorter time for us, the Poland market, which we were in contact with three main players from international players, big e-commerce retailers, which were willing to start the advanced discussion with us in order to start already an implementation, which is the end of the year. Most of the time, retailers are not doing anything on the supply chain side at the end of the year. This year looks to be totally different, so they want to accelerate the digitalization of their operations, to trust on new technologies to implement as soon as possible, and to be able to extend their operations, to take this opportunity and to be in front of the competitor as soon as possible. So the plans are really focused on the core operations, as we need to be as a startup, and to keep our attention on to where we are excellent in this moment. So we'll continue to be like that.
Thank you very much. Dan?
For us, next year it's going to be about basically growth. Following the growth plan, that started this year, and two major kind of objectives that will prepare us for conquering the world. The first one. So the challenge and the key objective is for us to become the AI technology of choice worldwide. That is helping, this $310 billion market, which is online advertising, and all of these retail property investors and operators to fuse their data into this market, right? So we look at the 80-20 rule that applies now after COVID, where just 20% of data is now monetized into $310 billion, and we want to just monetize the 80% that is still into retail properties. So that's first thing. And the second thing, we are preparing ourselves for the US market. And we don't want to be just another player, so yeah, that's an objective for next year, and that's going to be kind of a plan on its own to go to US. Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, you met us at this event before you were there. So when you are at this high-level event in New York or in San Francisco. Remember?
Cheers to, yeah.
You know, when there was a lockdown and we've done this event. Thank you very much, Dan. Daniel, for you, it's both ways, because it's not just short-term plans for Microsoft, but I would rather look. What do you think would be short-term trends in terms of retail and digitalization? Menai.
We saw something which was really amazing, and my panelists have spoken about this. There is a trend towards digitalization, an accelerated trend. We saw in the last couple of months the equivalent of the last 2 years in this perspective. So truly, people looked more and more towards digital, towards innovations, in order to keep their businesses going, because this was the first mind, keep the business going and then figure out what is happening. And in order to do that, you need to expand. You need to think about different ways. If you have maybe shops that is selling food for animals, you need to think how I can move that online as soon as possible. What kind of technology I need to use in order to keep my customers, and why not grow the customer base? You always need to think about growth, and I really appreciate this kind of thinking, that is not the end of the world, it's just another step, and we need to look about further opportunities down the road. And technology is playing a key role here in this perspective. We saw one great example, is not directly linked with retail, but again, you can think about the retail space in a certain way, was Regina Maria, the clinic, the medical clinic. And during the pandemic, they were forced to close because the government said you cannot do anymore this kind of consultancy treatments that you used to do in the past. So they have a lot of location in Romania, and they have a lot of employees, tens of thousands, doctors, medical staff, and so on. And they needed to close, and they need to figure out what I can do next. And the simple answer is go digital, go towards online. And it's not something that you can do overnight, but with the help of partners like yourself and Microsoft support, they went and they created this digital clinic in just 10 days. And not just created, but embedded this digital clinic in the same processes that they have. Because usually the customer, what is doing? He's calling the call center, or it's making an appointment via the app. They need to implement this new type of let's say virtual visit, but via the app, with the instructions, with the Teams client, and so on. So this is something that I really appreciate, this type of innovative mind, and really focus towards the end result, which is the customer, how I can stay in the contact with the customer. And one remarkable thing, beyond the fact that they kept the lights going, they stay in touch with the patients and so on, they saw that 20% of the people that registered to this digital clinic were not from Romania. So they tap into a customer that is not in Romania. Then usually, nobody is taking the flight from London to Bucharest. At least
except dental services. For dental
services. So very little people took the flight from London to Bucharest in order to go to a clinic. Usually, they go to that clinic. But now, having this possibility to speak with a Romanian doctor in your own native language, as a Romanian that stays in London, you take this opportunity and have this digital visit. So it's just an example of innovation that it's fueling additional growth. So my bottom line related with this is that think about the opportunities in every type of environment, even that might be a difficult environment. For sure, if you think hard enough, if you have partners and you partner with people that are open-minded, for sure you can see benefits, and for sure you can see factors of growth there. So this is the mindset that we're having, and this is something that we truly want to instill with every customer, with every partner that we have the discussion. So this is our focus, this is our aim. Let's think about ways to use innovation, to use technology, to capture opportunities, because opportunities are there. And we saw in your cases as well with the retailers, with the brick and mortars, that they shifted the mindset towards from visits to the data and how I can bring more value, because I already had the data.
Indeed.
So the data was there, you know. But now applying AI that you have built, now they can, you know, collect more value out of the data, and why not think about growth?
Thank you very much, Daniel. Considering what Daniel just told us about opportunities, I want to mention 2 new opportunities for you as well. There is a meetup powered by Changeengineers tomorrow. You will find it both on changeengineers.ro, but also on our social media channels. And please subscribe, because that would be available live on social media just for a short period of time at the beginning of the meetup, and then they will go fully in an environment where they can actually interact a little bit easier. I want to take this moment to also thank our guest for joining us tonight, and to thank you all who followed us online. We will also meet again at a new edition of Connect Opportunities powered by Microsoft for Startups in the month of November. So keep an eye on our social media channels, on our newsletter, and on our website, impacthub.ro, so you will be there when that next event will happen. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Daniel Matei, and have a good evening.